friend. I am Obaji Agbiji, and I am here to spend just the time with you. And I'm so excited that you found time to be here with me again today. Something very interesting I'm here to share with you today is related to finding your life partner. So it's a conversation that relates to marriage, in a sense. Um, I've been privileged to journey with people and being a marriage counselor, wedding individuals of different age brackets, be they young persons, middle age, and sometimes even seniors, individuals who have gone freshly into marriage, some that were widowers or widows, and eventually found life partners again. And today, a lot of them are very happy and excited about their marriages. And I'm here today to share with you very interesting issues as ways and means of preparing onto a marital relationship. Finding a life partner, but I want to share with you where to begin. There are a lot of books that are written about marriage, a lot of videos that are out there about marriage, but there is a missing point which I want to share with you, and I know you're going to love it. A lifelong relationship is a very unique relationship. And being a relationship you intend to live in for the rest of your life, you've got to be very careful about that. I don't want you to be afraid. Before I got married, I was very much afraid about marriage because I saw in individuals the struggles and challenges about marriage. As a very young man, I was already counseling individuals, reading from books to counsel them. There's a difference between when you're counseling people without experience. You have to read from somewhere. But marriage is more than that, reading from somewhere to give advice to individuals. Because every marriage is unique in itself. You have to approach it with respect and a measure of reverence as well. So, it's always scary when we begin to talk about having a lifetime relationship. Some individuals look at it as a boring experience. Some individuals look at it as, well, one of those things you must do in life because everybody else, or most people at least, are doing it. I don't want you to approach it in that light. There are also exciting experiences in marriage. I can tell you from a personal experience and from the experiences of those within my circle of relationships. They're having great experiences. I admit some are struggling in their marriages, and it's not something to laugh about or to make light about. These are serious issues friends or brothers and sisters or colleagues are grappling with. So, my journey with you today is about where to begin as you're thinking about having a life partner, living with somebody for the rest of your life. Now, the best relationship in marriage is that relationship that helps you to become the best of who you should be. It's a relationship that helps you to fulfill your purpose. You don't want to live with somebody that you'll be struggling every day with living in the marriage and fulfilling your purpose. As if there's a competition, as if there is a struggle, as if there is a fight. That is not what you will want in your life. It's about a relationship that the person you'll be living with for the rest of your life will support you in fulfilling your purpose or your destiny, but also one that can empower you or let's join forces with you to be everything you are meant to be in this world and in the life of the world to come. So, where do we begin? Let me say this. Choosing a life partner is the second most important decision that you are bound to make as a human being. The first is about your relationship with your Creator in salvation. The second is about your marriage. And a matter of fact, your marriage can impinge on your decision to serve the Lord. It could touch strongly on frustrating you from fulfilling your purpose in life. I want you to know that. But the third decision is about your career in life. So I'm right at the second point of the important decisions of your life, your marriage. And I tell you, I never had it before. I got married. Thank God, I'm not having a hellish experience of marriage. Where to begin is not about looking for the most beautiful woman, not the most beautiful, handsome man. That's not where to begin. In fact, where to begin is not a 7-day fast to search for a life partner. Where you begin is you. You begin from yourself. Yes, you heard me. Beginning from your own self. You begin by asking yourself important questions and finding answers to those questions. So, what are the kind of questions you should begin to ask yourself? You should begin to ask yourself, what is marriage to start with? It was very strange, friend, that I met somebody who had told me they found a bride to marry, and he decided about that. Then I asked him, so, can you tell me what you know about marriage? And he says, well, I see that people are getting married, so I found a beautiful lady who says she's willing to marry me. It was funny to me, and I did laugh, had a good laugh. And then we sat down to business to begin to reflect. And he was very surprised as to what marriage was all about. So ask yourself the question, friend, right where you are. What is marriage? You've got to know what you're getting into. At least have an understanding. I'm not saying you must be an expert of marriage, no. But have substantial knowledge, good enough knowledge about what you're planning to step into. So what is informing your idea of marriage? The family where you come from? Some books you have read? Romance? Movies that you view? YouTube channels? Those are sources of knowing about marriage, but sometimes they are make-believe. Sometimes they do not really reflect what is the truth about marriage. They're not realistic sometimes. Let's use the instance of a movie that is speaking about marriage or showing how two persons are in love and they end up getting married. A lot of those stories and the romance that is played out there and the way things are playing out there are not very real in real life. People of different age brackets, including our young people or middle age, because people marry at different levels of their lives. There is no best time to marry, one would say. Whatever time works for you is the appropriate time for you. Individuals got married and I said, oh, I thought, do you remember this movie? I saw how they got married and I was imagining my marriage is going to be like that. I said, friend, you were greatly mistaken. A lot of that is make-believe. It does not happen in real life. What you've seen from your parents may be an ugly experience or something beautiful. But marriage is more than what you saw between your father and your mother. It's more than what you saw in that movie or what you read in that novel or what the pastor has taught in the church or whoever is a spiritual instructor may have told you about marriage. There may be good things about what you have learned, but I want you to explore and be more realistic in learning the truth about marriage. There were books I read about marriage as a young man before I got married. And those books, some things I learned from them, I can never use them at all in my marriage. So they provide a source of information, but sieve that information and interrogate that information and be open-minded and be sure you are finding what is realistic in what you are learning about marriage. What is your view regarding self-love? Self-love is about how much you love yourself, how you love yourself or not. Is it a good measure or a poor measure of that, or something beyond what should be? Because your self-knowledge of self-love could be healthy or unhealthy. You've got to have a good measure of self-love. Let me give you an example of what I mean. Self-love can play out in such a manner that every other human being you meet in your life is trash, means nothing. Whoever says hi to you, you should feel privileged for saying hi to you, or you smiling at the person. That is an unreasonable measure of self-love. Self-love has to be in such a measure that you love yourself and you owe yourself that duty, but also respecting other persons and loving other persons, understanding that they are as valuable as you are yourself to yourself. What is your knowledge about companionship? Now, your marriage is going to touch on your self-love. It's going to touch on the experience of companionship. So you've got to have a healthy knowledge of what companionship is all about. Are you one that will want a companion, somebody to talk to, somebody to go to places with? Or you just want to be a loner? You don't enjoy the company of any other person entirely. Now, if you're thinking about getting married, you have to work on that. Because when you get married, you begin to go to places not alone anymore, but with some other person. That has to do with companionship, sharing your life with somebody else. What is your understanding of communication? Is your sense of communication meaning you pass out the orders and everybody else take the orders? That's how some of us have been raised. We give orders, even though we speak in low tunes and soft voices, but we actually speak and expect people to carry out what we say without questioning that. That is a poor sense of communication. Communication has to do with exchanging information, encoding and decoding. It comes with a sense of understanding, not reading too much and not taking what people say for granted, and being able to ask questions instead of making assumptions when you don't understand. The one that encodes the message is the best decoder to tell you what he or she means. That touches on communication. But ask yourself also important questions regarding sex. Marriage is going to entail sex. And it's not just going to be about how you alone feel about sex, but how your partner is going to feel about that. But you yourself must have a healthy knowledge of sex. What is sex all about? You say, is that an important question? Yes, it is. I've counseled individuals in marriage crisis who went into marriage without really reflecting on sex. And when the partner began to make sexual advances, the person began to behave in a certain way. And it didn't go well in that relationship, in that light. So think about, what is sex about? What does it entail? What do you know about independence? A sense of being on your own sometimes and making your own decisions. You've got to reflect on that because it will come into play in marriage. But not only independence, there's also the fact of dependence. You get married, and when you get married, there are times you're independent and there are times you have to be dependent as well. There's a healthy sense of dependence. Are you one that does not ever want to depend on somebody? You want to do everything by yourself. You can only believe in your capacity. You don't trust any other person can do anything good enough in the way that it should earn your admiration and your appreciation. Well, in having a life partner, you will need to have a person that you can have a measure of independence, but also a healthy measure of dependence. How about forgiveness? Forgiveness will play in your marriage because you are not perfect entities. You will get to a point you will offend your partner and your partner will offend you. But to move on, there will be a place for forgiveness. So, do you forgive or you never forgive anybody that hurts you, knowingly or unknowingly? You've got to work on that. Then comes the component of tolerance. How well are you able to tolerate individuals? It's an important question for you to ask yourself and for you to reflect or walk along those lines of learning how to forgive. I've dealt with those set of questions falling under the theme of understanding what marriage is all about and understanding navigating through those questions regarding marriage. The second set of questions that you must ask yourself has to do with what kind of person that you are. What kind of person am I? I that wants to get married or wants to find a life partner. Whereas that issue relates to your self-love. It touches on other questions beyond just self-love. It has to do with what is my purpose? Have I known what my purpose is? What is my destiny? What are my dreams? What are my aspirations? Surely you have dreams. Surely, as a human being, you have aspirations, but you've got to know them. What are my core values? Do I value truth? Being truthful? Trust? Do I keep to my words? How do I feel about people keeping to their words? What are my likes and what are my dislikes? You've got to know all of that about yourself. What are my strengths and what are my weaknesses? Am I meant to marry or not? Don't assume that you must get married because everybody's married. No, not everybody is meant to get married. Am I happy or I'm not happy? Individuals marry because they look for somebody to make them happy. No, that is not good enough. You've got to come to a place of happiness. Somebody can contribute and enrich your happiness the more. But you don't just wait for some other person to make you happy. You've got to come to a place of making yourself happy. How can I maintain my happiness? These are questions you must ask yourself. And finally, you come to the last set of questions. What kind of spouse do I need? I've spoken about what is marriage, understanding what it is, having the sets of questions. Who am I? Having the sets of questions, addressing that question of who am I? And now the final set of questions, what kind of spouse do I need? The imagination of most people that want to get married, as young people, for instance, is that they're looking for a guy that is a superhero, a movie kind of lover boy. That's what some individuals are looking for. They imagine all of that in their heads. But when they get into marriage, they find something else playing out. Why? Because the anticipations and the expectations were faulty. Or some guys that are looking out for a super flawless angelic model, multi-purpose mother lady kind of woman. There is no such woman in existence. It's one that is in the imagination. If you come to that, you won't find anyone in real life or any guy as previously described in real life. So be realistic about who and what kind of a man you want, what kind of a woman that you want. What are the values that person upholds? Do they align with your values or they are worlds apart? The individuals that telling a lie is no big deal, it's no problem. In fact, they get surprised when people are not happy with their lies. What profession is that individual? Or what an alternative will work for you? What are the strengths of the person? And what are the person's weaknesses? And what is it that you can tolerate? And how would you know, finally, when you have met that person that should be your life partner? Friends, these are things you should reflect on, beginning from you in seeking out a life partner. I will have more conversations on this topic about finding a life partner. In the meantime, I want to thank you for spending this great moment of your time with me. It's been a great pleasure and a great privilege coming your way. Look out for me, and I'll be most excited that you will come on board again for us to journey together. Have a great day and God bless you.